I just got done printing all of my chess pieces. I've been playing chess for a few years. I'm not really good, but I have a lot of fun doing it, and I really like customizing. So I've been wanting to make a chess set for a while now, but the knight has always eluded me design-wise, what I want to do with it. But I finally came up with a design I'm happy with. And from this, I have designed the rest of the set to match the look and feel. Now that they're all printed, add the weights to the bottom. This one is already weighted with a little metal slug. So I need to do that to the other 30 or so pieces. We'll do that, and then maybe some felt on the bottoms, and then we can talk about some of my design decisions and why I did what I did, and just, yeah, talk chess sets. Safety first. You'll want to clean up the edge. You don't want it sharp. Insert the piece as far as it'll go, and then mark the line you're going to cut. Also have these just ready. Things are hot, so just to be able to grab. Little thin cutoff wheel for metal, and let's get going. This thing's gonna be fairly hot. Rip it off, toss it on the workbench. That's it for the pawns. Got all 16 of those. I'm gonna cut the rest of them for the other pieces, and we will meet back up in a minute. We've cut all of the pieces, but we still have a lot of rough edges from where we cut them, so we're going to clamp them into some vice grips and clean up those edges. We're gonna start putting everything together. This is the second time I'm filling this part because I cut these all a little bit too long. So I had to go back in with the angle grinder, cut some angles into some of them, and just kind of shorten them up. Now we can get started putting all these together. So let's hope. Oh yeah. Nice and flush, if not a little under. Just a little note, the depth of the slug in the bottom is not the same across the whole thing. I believe the knights and the rooks might have the same length just because they're fairly similar height-wise. But because the pawn is so much smaller than the king, I gave the king a decent amount more weight in it towards the bottom. So now they're all weighted, I'm gonna do a little super glue on the bottom of each one just to make sure that weight doesn't come out or loosen over time. So just a little dab right on the edge. I can get this, yep. Just enough to go between the metal and the plastic body. Nothing fancy. We'll just knock all of these out real quick. All right, we're gonna let these dry for a little bit, and then we're gonna come back and felt the bottoms. So it is time to cut the felt for the pieces. They are all weighted, the glue is dry, and we're looking pretty good. I'm going with orange, and I have this tool here, which I've used for some other projects, and I'm thinking will work. You adjust this, and it has a blade on this side, so has a little, little blade right there, and then this piece. So you can actually look through that and see the X on the other side to center it up, and then move this where you want it and cut a hole or cut a circle. So I'm gonna put on the, just to show you real quick, you push the main plunger piece down and you just kind of spin this. And it cuts a pretty perfect circle. So I don't know if it'll be as perfect with felt, but we're gonna see. So let's mark the center roughly with marker, if you can see that. Marked that little dot there. And that'll give me something, what's on the crosshairs. So we wanna put that X directly over the dot. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. Move that X, put it over the dot. I can't do it in the camera, so I'm gonna line it up real quick and then offset the blade just a little inside. You can see where the blade is touching. So hopefully that will allow me to cut a pretty decent circle. So hold that down. Just kind of spin this around a few times. Hey, this is going to be monotonous, but that is a good little circle. That is perfect. So that was the measurement for the king. So it is just a little inset. That looks pretty dang good. Let's cut another one. This is gonna take a while. I cannot believe how easy the circle cutting went. I was dreading this part of it. I mean, these look amazing. It looks like these were just perfed out and I just popped them out, but no, I got to cut them custom sized. I didn't have to get the scissors out and like crumbly try to make a circle. So I will try to find this. I don't remember where or when I got it, but I will try to find this and link it in the description if you want to do a project similar to this or this exact project. Also, just while you're down there, like and subscribe, means a lot, helps me out a lot. Finally have a full set of felted pieces, and we can talk through the design process. When it comes to designing a chess set, there are some proportions that you need to follow, some rough guidelines. For the king specifically, the base is supposed to be 45 to 50% of the height. So 41 roughly ends up being 45% of 90. So I'm within that general agreed upon proportion for chess sets. And then your king sizing also determines the size board you'll use. So the board that I currently use is a 2¼ inch board, which is just a little big for these pieces. The square is supposed to be 75 to 80% of the base diameter dimension. So with a 41 millimeter base diameter, that would give us roughly a 2-inch square, which is a slightly smaller board, but this is a slightly smaller, more compact set. So I will at some point be making a board to go along with these pieces. In terms of the design for the pieces, once all that kind of math is figured out, you'll want to make sure, obviously, your king is the tallest, then queen, then bishop, then knight, then rook, then pawn. That's just how it works. But then you can just figure out your design system. So for mine, I started with the knight and his rough look, and it kind of ended up looking like it was cut from marble, especially with this stone kind of look. I wanted it semi-simple, but with a little bit of personality to it. So I added these circular elements and kind of stayed fairly geometric with them. And I used this base that I designed across the rest of them, so they all looked like a family. So this bottom proportion here, this silhouette, is the same amongst all of them. Obviously the diameter is different. Like this is a much smaller piece, so the diameter is smaller than the king, but that shape is consistent amongst all of them. The other thing that is consistent amongst the entire set is this faceted look. So there's a version of it in the knights. It's more just on the sides to create that body profile, but that cutout scallop here. So I turned that into this to catch the light a little bit and add some visual interest across all the other pieces. And all of the other pieces, because they are so angular, I kept the angles the same. So this angle here and this angle here, and same for all the other pieces, that shallower upward angle is all, I believe it was 35 degrees. So the entire set looks like a family. Those little things that are similar, like you may not notice it from afar, but once they're all on the table, that's what kind of brings the cohesiveness together, along with like this similar sweeping angles and everything else. So in whatever design system you make sure there are those similar details for your pieces or for whatever you're building. Really, it helps make a brand, make a family. With this scallop detail, there are 8 scallops around each one. So wherever I did a detail amongst these, I used the number 8. So the top portion of the rook, all of those cutouts, there's 8 of those. The queen, these little cushion looking pop outs, there's 8 of those. Same with the king. He had these little cutout details. The only place where I really went away from that was on the top for his crown. That normally there is a cross type look up top, which wasn't really the look I was going for, didn't really fit the aesthetic I liked. So I kind of did a minimal cross, kind of a nod to the classic look, and did 4 cutouts on that. Another design element that is pretty consistent is obviously the geometric look. The bishop would normally have a sphere on top, but I kind of did a more truncated look, more of a circle on top. Same for the queen. The rook has a nod to it. The knight has the cheeks, which are also that round shape. So the only place where I really deviated from that was with the pawn, because the pawn to me needs to have that big spherical head on the top of it. It just doesn't look right without it. I tried a lot of other different designs. I tried faceting the tip. It just wasn't quite right. So this is where we ended up. So that's a shortened explanation as to how I came up with the look and feel of this set. Obviously, once you have your design system in place, you can learn where to break the rules, where you should stay staunchly like dedicated to it. But little things like the pawn's head not looking right if it wasn't this look, or parts of the knight leaning a little more one way or another. And especially things like the top of the king. It leads to tradition with that cross kind of look, but that means I had to go away from the actual circle on top, which matched the other ones. But it also needs to look unique so you know which piece is which on the board. I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a ton of fun designing all of these. I've been wanting to design a chess set for a very long time, and I'm going to play with these for a while, see how they feel, see what I might change in the future. And at some point, maybe I'll get a resin printer, lose some of these layer lines. But honestly, kind of adds to the whole aesthetic of the thing. So I haven't set these up on an actual board yet. So I'm going to set these up for the first time, and I will see you over at the board. Now I need to make a box or something, bag to put all these in. I just stood up. That's what super glue's for. I'll see you in the next one.